Welcome to Dungeon Academics. My name is Thomas and I will be your instructor. It's been a while since I recorded my last video. Unfortunately, real life sometimes gets in the way. My kids were ill and then they were off school on school holidays, so I had not much hobby time to record videos. But I have had time to go and play a game of Dungeons and Dragons, sat around a table with real people face to face, and it has reaffirmed my view that roleplay games are best played sat around a table. A lot has been said in the Dungeon Tuber community about Project Sigil, the coming online virtual tabletop for Dungeons and Dragons made by Wizards of the Coast. And however good a gameplay experience it is, I still believe that Dungeons and Dragons is a game meant to be played around a table, as are most tabletop roleplay games. I believe that this is a social game, a game that brings people together in real life, in a room together. And however good a gaming experience you can get with any kind of virtual tabletop or VR system, I don't think it's going to be as good as being face to face with the people you're playing with. So the main purpose of this video is for me to talk about the new game that I'm in. And if any of my table end up watching this video, thank you. The first session we had together I thought was absolutely fantastic. So, how did I find this game? It has been a couple of years since I played a roleplay game sat around the table. I used to play quite frequently with a close group of friends of mine, but we are now geographically spread around Finland, and meeting up for a regular face-to-face game has proven to be logistically impossible. We used to play quite frequently virtually, but as people's lives, careers, families all took them in different directions, this has become sadly less frequent. I'd love to play once a week with these guys like we did, but unfortunately that's just not possible. I have played several campaigns online. Some of them have been great, some of them have been even better. I'm currently 11 sessions into my second campaign with a German DM who I think is fantastic. I'm really enjoying playing with her. But I have been looking for an offline game, a tabletop game. So how did I find it? Well, there is Cafe Board Games in Helsinki, and they have a Discord server. And they have a monthly cafe con where people can come together and play games. I went to one in January and I had a great time. I met a few people there, and continuing discussions in their Discord server, I saw that someone had posted a new game they wanted to start, and I signed up. We chatted on the Discord server for quite a while, and then last week we got together and had a session 0 and a session 1. Turns out we had quite a bit of time, and it was fantastic. It was a great experience. So if you're looking for a game to play face to face, the best thing to do is to find what community hubs you have for gaming. Sometimes local gaming stores have community events. Sometimes they're board game cafes. There are quite a few I've seen advertised in various cities around the world where they have community events and maybe run games in their facilities. Look, see what's available. You might be lucky and find a great game to play in. So I got into a game. What can I say about the game? Well, there's 6 players plus the DM. The DM is relatively new to the hobby. I don't know if they're relatively new to the hobby. They're relatively new to DMing. That's what they've told us. But from the first game that we played, I thought they did a fantastic job. They really brought the story to life. They had a good enough command of the rules that the gameplay felt fluid and fun. They have a great descriptive vocabulary So we had a lot of fun playing together. And what's the difference between an inexperienced and an experienced DM? It's time. And this time that we're playing together, I'm sure they will improve their skills in the same way that I will improve mine. So it's been great playing with them so far, and their self-professed lack of experience hasn't been a problem. The game's been wonderful. Of the 6 players around the table, 3 are almost complete beginners, in that they've played a one-shot before this, so 1 session of D&D, and now they're getting started. And I think this is great. I think the fact that you can have a table where you have 3 completely inexperienced players playing alongside other players who have more experience. I'm not going to say I'm the most experienced role player, but I have been doing it for over 30 years now, and we're having fun together. I think this is a wonderful hobby because we're not in competition with each other. We are here to support each other. We are here to play a game together and make sure everyone has fun. And as they figure out the nuances of role play, what their character is like, how the rules work, we're figuring out how we all fit together as a party. So playing with inexperienced players is not a problem. I think that if you had an entire table where everyone was inexperienced, there may be some issues where people get stuck on rules and can't figure out what to do. So having, a player or a DM or a couple, one of each that know the rules really well can certainly help speed things up. But I don't think that's 100% necessary. Everyone learns at some point, and not everyone is at a table with experienced players already. So I'm really happy to be playing with newer players because I get to see their joy at the start of this hobby, and perhaps I get to be part of their journey into Dungeons and Dragons fans as well. So that's brilliant news for me. There are 2 other players at the table that have played to some extent before. I believe they're both relatively experienced. They know what they're doing. So that means that we have a good mix of skills and backgrounds on the player side at least. Now, what about the characters? Well, first I should say we are playing The Wild Beyond the Witchlight. I'm not going to include any spoilers for the campaign. I want to talk about themes rather than events. And our session 1 had us entering the Witchlight Carnival. And I think this is a really wonderful way to start a campaign. It is joyful and frivolous and fun and quite low stakes because nothing's trying to kill you yet. But there's definitely mysteries to explore and bizarre things going on. So I think it's a great way to start a roleplay game, start a campaign. I'm hoping that as the campaign progresses, there may be more elements of more traditional Dungeons and Dragons, so conflict and combat as well as exploration and storytelling. I like a balanced mix of all of them. But session 1 so far, where nobody's made an attack roll, it's been wonderful. And I believe session 2, when we continue in the Witchlight Carnival, I've been told by the DM explicitly, don't expect any combat. I'm fine with it because we've had storytelling elements, exploration elements, roleplay elements in it. It's been great fun. Who do we have in the party then? 6 players. We have a fairy bard. So that's going to be a fun thing to play with. Obviously, we're starting at level 1. We are starting at level 1. So the bard doesn't have a subclass yet. So it'll be interesting to see what they pick. Then we have a Harengon fighter. I believe they're planning on going Rune Knight. That's the one that can get themselves big. So we've got a good combat frontliner there. Then we have an Elven Druid, Circle of the Moon. So that's going to be a fun character. Druids are great to play because of the versatility the wild shape gives. Myself, I'm playing Doug the Turtle. So he's a level 1 Hexblade. I'm going to get a few levels of Wizard next and go Bladesinger. Then we have a pair of Tieflings played by a couple in real life. We have a tiefling warlock, and then we have a tiefling luchador, which is a custom class I'm not familiar with. It's a bit of homebrew. The DM recommended it. The player wanted to play something like a luchador, so an unarmed fighter that's also an entertainer. The original plan was to multi-class between bard and monk, which is a challenging thing to do. You are so dependent on many ability scores. To be a bard, you really need a good charisma, and to be a monk, you need a good dexterity, constitution, and wisdom. So trying to have 4 ability scores that are all good means you're occasionally going to end up being not very good at everything. But apparently this luchador class does exactly what they wanted to do, and is what they were wanting to play, a sort of luchador archetype anyway. If you're not familiar, I should mention luchador are the traditional Mexican wrestlers, incredibly athletic performers and martial artists. So I think this ties in with possibly the player's personal heritage. I'm not sure there. It's not my place to ask, but they're really into the class, so I'm really happy with that. So in terms of party composition, we're quite well balanced. We've got a moon druid, and moon druids are great frontliners and great support. We've got a pure bard, great support. We've got a fighter, great frontliner. Luchador, great frontliner. I'm going to be a hexblade and bladesinger wizard, so full wizard as well. So great caster with combat, and then we've got a warlock, and warlocks are great all-round characters. We've got a bit of everything in this party, so it's going to be really interesting to see how it goes. As for the gameplay, people are still learning a bit about how their characters work, about what kind of character they're playing. We know already that the Herringon is a little bit of a chaos goblin, a bit twitchy there, prone to rash decisions. So this fits in with the story really nicely, but part of playing in a roleplay campaign, playing in a group, is understanding the character's strengths and weaknesses, and perhaps working together to take the edge off traits that might get you in trouble. So a Herringon with sticky fingers is a difficult thing to be around when you're dealing with the Fae, because they don't take stealing very lightly. The bard we've got, the players really finding their voice and working out their character, their personality. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that shines through, because they're a new player, but they've got these great roleplay ideas and storytelling ideas, and I think their character is really coming to life in a nice way. So yeah, I'm really optimistic, and it's just great to sit around a table and play D&D with people. The 6 people, I've never met them before our first game, and already I'm thinking, yeah, this could be a great table. I'm optimistic as to how this game is going to go in the future. We have our next game the day after tomorrow, so I will fill you in on that after it happens. My regular online game, I've had a couple of sessions. I haven't done the online diary for them. I've updated the party log myself. We had a relatively short session last time. We had one big combat encounter against a sort of mini boss level character, and before we could even loot the body, it looks like another combat encounter is about to start. So I'll have to let you know how that goes. But the game's going well. I'm enjoying that. What else have I been up to? I've decided to do more voice acting. So I've found there's a subreddit called Record This for Free, and I have been volunteering my voice for a number of different projects. I've done some horror scripts, which are really fun to read. I've done a few video game cutscenes. I'm working for the voice of a character for an online series. And hopefully when these are available to be watched or listened to, I'll try and post the links here and show them off. And if anyone needs a voice actor for anything, I really enjoy doing it. I've done a fair amount of voice acting before, and it's mostly been material for school books. I have written school books in the past. In fact, I'll actually reach down. Hang on. Here we go. Going Places. That's me there, Thomas Lambert. So this is a series of school books that I co-authored quite a few years ago with a couple of colleagues of mine. Well, one's a colleague and one's a friend of the colleague. They are Swedish language teachers, and they were writing a book series for 4th, 5th and 6th graders, and they asked me if I could come in on the project as a native speaker of English. So I co-wrote a series of school books, and I did a lot of the voices on the CDs. So if you've been learning a foreign language at school, you'll have your school book, and occasionally there'll be a CD or online resources where you get to listen to dialogue. I did the dialogue for that. I played a lot of different characters. I did some narration work, and I was asked to do voiceover work for other projects by the same publisher. And I love it. I absolutely love voice acting. And this ties into my love of Dungeons and Dragons because I'm playing a character. When you're voice acting, you don't have a character sheet, but you can still imagine what's this person like, what's their motivation, what are they hopeful for, what are they frightened of, how does it affect the scene? And I love doing it. I mean, obviously I love the sound of my voice. You can tell by these videos that I'm not shy about talking. So voice acting really does fit well for me. So I've been doing some of that, and I'm continuing writing with my various different projects for Dungeons and Dragons and other roleplay games. But all of that pales into insignificance compared to the fact that I got to play a game around a table with real dice, and that's just joyful. So that's what I've been up to, actually playing games and other things as well, but the playing games is the fun part. So I'm really looking forward to my next game in 2 days' time, and for you, enjoy your next game, whatever it may be.